And then I'm gonna position the camera just because I heard like a fly in the blinds. I don't want that to be bothering me. Y'all most likely will hear people either in the garage or coming in and out from the garage. I live with my family, can't do nothing about it. But, that is the warning I will give. So, yeah. But like I said, they're probably going to be coming in and out of the garage. Literally right as I say that, someone walked in. So, yeah. Oh, and they're going to sit where my stuff is. Hold on. Okay. Any questions though from what I was just talking about? And then we can get into the hold on, let me find it. I haven't gone to this notebook in a few days. Actually, there was. Hello, Lucia. Hi. So I'm going through my notebooks. Thank you for joining. I'm going through my notebooks, but the last time I was live, I'm trying to go through my notes really quick. But while I'm doing that, if you guys have any questions, I'm answering them. Yes, I am a certified life coach and personal trainer. Hello, Grace Linton. Hi. But yeah, a lot of people have like nutrition questions or like, I don't want to say random facts type questions, but that's like a lot of stuff I answer is like just knowledge questions to me. But my actual notebook from class is in my room still. Where do I work? I work online. But like, if you actually want to hire me as a personal trainer, I'll put my email because I've been handing out my business cards and I didn't put like a work number, I put an email. So whenever people like request, I send them an email as a questionnaire. So I could drop my email if you're actually serious, Lucia. Is that how you say your name, Lucia? Or is it Luca? If it's Lucia, that's cool. I've never seen Lucia. But yeah. I wrote like 4 pages the other day too. So it'd be a lot to go through. But from the 4th and the 5th. Is it Lucia, you said? Yeah, this is an electrolyte drink. It's mirrored, but I don't know how to change that because TikTok Live is different from YouTube Live. But this is 2 servings also. Like, okay, one of hold on, let me switch my tripod. One of the things people don't look at a lot is serving sizes or portions to things, especially if you're in the West. Especially if you're in the West, because if you read this right, and I'm gonna show you, but it's mirrored, so I'm gonna read it first. But this is 2 servings, and then the serving size is 12 fluid ounces, right? So half of this bottle contains 0 grams of fat, 250 milligrams of sodium, 18 grams of total carbs, and 18 grams of sugar. No protein at all. You know, it's a drink. But if you were to drink this whole drink, right? So you see it on the side, right? If you were to drink this whole thing, that's 31 grams of sugar, just in one drink, right? And then 430 milligrams of sodium. So the sugar and the salt content, a lot of people don't look at like on their serving size of stuff, and that like kind of. Thank you for the like. I appreciate that. Or likes. I'm not even paying attention to that. Oh my gosh. But yeah, like a lot of people, they'll, drink this whole thing in one day, which is fine, but if you are someone who's trying to avoid sugar and you drink one drink that has 30 grams of sugar, like you have to be a lot more mindful. But this also, yeah, I'm sorry, they're just gonna keep coming through the garage. But also this drink, like on the bottom, it says the vitamins and minerals that is in it. Right? Yeah, I know. I'm gonna read it again because it's mirrored. But it has 30 milligrams of calcium per serving, 280 milligrams of potassium, 20 milligrams of magnesium, and 380 milligrams of chloride. So if you were to drink the whole bottle, again, not paying attention to the label, you would have 430 milligrams of sodium, 31 grams of total carbs, 31 grams of sugar, no protein, 50 milligrams of calcium, 490 milligrams of potassium, 30 milligrams of magnesium, and 670 milligrams of chloride. Now, where it comes in the where it's good or bad is like the sugar content, right? If you're trying to avoid sugar, obviously don't have a drink that has 30 milligrams of sugar, right? But for potassium, some people's like dietary needs. No, I'm gonna get to that. But some people's dietary needs, like you have to avoid potassium or too much chloride, right? Because some people as they get older, they have to, potentially have things that are diuretic or water soluble, or else like their body has like a difficult time breaking it down type of situation. So it's necessary to pay attention to what is on your nutrition label for that reason, and for and for the serving sizes. But if this is like someone, say they're very active, a younger person, someone who's an athlete, things of that nature, then drinking one of these is perfectly fine, right? It will like flush out everything that needs to be flushed out after exercising. It'll help with dehydration. It will also help break up folic acid. What's another thing here? And it will also turn your sugar into glucose. And if your body is functioning properly, your pancreas, your liver, then your glucose will turn into energy at the end of the day. So something to be mindful about. But as a personal trainer, it's like you have to ask people questions almost like it was an interview type of thing, because someone who has a lifestyle that's more sedentary, like working at an office space, or someone who has a corporate job, or someone who is typing on a computer answering emails all day, they're going to need a lot more excuse me, they're gonna need a lot more kind of like nudging or support in terms of their, intake of vitamins and minerals, but also their intake of, just water in general. A lot of people are oftentimes dehydrated, or they're like, I feel tired, or I have a headache, or I can't think as fast, or I can't concentrate as much as I used to when I was younger, because you're dehydrated. And when you're dehydrated and you don't have enough minerals, your brain functioning and your cognitive processing abilities just go down a lot. So, yeah. Walk gently upon her, for the earth is our first mother. Guides and best balance and her blessings. Well, fucking Harvard. Yeah, absolutely, Connecticut. That's an interesting name, but absolutely, I agree with your statement. And also, I've been trying to eat more plant-based in general. So, I like that you were talking about the earth in that speech, or sorry, in that comment. I don't know what I just said in that speech. So yeah. Again, I do apologize for the sounds in the background. I have family that is visiting. Originally they said, oh, we're just gonna be building a bookshelf outside. Then they took a lunch break, and I was like, okay, let me go and do laundry in the garage. And now they're just going in and out of the house, so I literally have no clue what they're doing. But again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know. I'm a certified personal trainer and certified life coach, and I want to just be able to answer people's questions. If anyone needs training, of course, I will help. If you guys just want advice, I can answer questions. But if it's something that you need guidance on, well, let me show you my business card. Because the thing is, I put these like together from a template on Vistaprint, so I'm actually very proud of it. But this is what they look like on the front, and then the back is a picture from. This lighting is not doing it justice, but these are magnolia lilies from February. But this is when I was in Virginia, and they have like DC, Virginia, and Japan like make cherry blossom season a whole lot big, a bigger deal basically than other places. So, yeah. But that's the back because I wanted to like contribute all of my skill sets. So that's like my photography kind of background there to showcase. But then this is the front. So I use Vistaprint for these cards. But like the thing is, when I was making business cards, people were like, "Oh, what was it? Like Walgreens and Staples and like another site. They're like, oh, just kind of compare the different places because some of them gave like discounts if you buy in bulk, and then some of them just have like more template designs type of thing. So yeah, but this is my business card, and you can see on the bottom it shows the email there. So there you go. I'm gonna flip the camera though to see. Yeah, actually the back camera is way better to show it off. But yeah, that is my business card, the front and then the back. So if anyone needs any personal training, any life coaching or spiritual mentorship, this is the way to contact me. But yeah, the biggest type of like almost common sense but not common sense advice is to read the labels and read like the portioning serving amounts on the labels or the foods like drinks. I just went through this electrolyte one, but on what you actually get. So yeah. And then the other thing is with nutrition and health, it's kind of like if you live a sedentary lifestyle, right? If you're on a computer, on a phone, on a technological device, right? and you're spending a lot of time like either in front of a computer or a tablet or a phone, or you just have to look up things a lot or answer emails or do research, that's kind of like going to make it um, what's it called, like talking to people and mobility and stretching is going to become way more important for you if you are someone who lives like a sit down or office type of lifestyle. Like you need to be stretching, you need to be having conversations with people so you don't, lose your language skills, right? Um, you don't want to be isolated in a room or in a cubicle. You need to make sure you're going for walks, having fresh air, not just under fluorescent or bright lights all the time. You need vitamin D. And vitamin D deficiencies actually are like one of the top things that contribute to mental illnesses. And it's also a thing that makes people more irritable. Like their mood has a lot to do with vitamin balances or imbalances. And also, if you have like prolonged vitamin imbalances, you get hormone imbalances. And with that is where inflammation starts to set in. Again, mental health problems for some people if you don't have an outlet, let's just say, right? Um, and it was another thing. Oh yeah, so with hormone imbalances, it could also make it easier to binge eat, and then you can just gain weight quicker, and then it's like you're not as focused as eating properly or eating balanced nutrition or meals in that aspect. So it's very important to stay on track with, again, the portion size, the vitamins and minerals balancing, and your hormone fluctuations. Because sometimes your hormones can fluctuate from stress, believe it or not. So I know people have heard of cortisol before, but if you have short term levels of cortisol, meaning you might get frustrated or stressed out or worked up like during certain times of the year, let's just say at the end of the year or before the summer or before your birthday, like, those are things that you naturally anticipate and you have solutions, to make that stress go away. Or the stress is something just for 24 hours, like, oh my gosh, I have this big project coming up and it has a presentation attached to it, and it's you get where I'm going with that, but if it's something like, hey, I live in a house with family members that stress me out all the time and they complain a lot, then that starts to throw your hormones off balance. Or, hey, I have, this really good job, but this boss is just absolutely horrible to us. And every single end of the work week, I come home with a migraine because I try my hardest to, put in the numbers and work with my team, but the boss is still upset about something. That's something that you need to reevaluate in terms of, do you actually value your health or do you value that job? So, those are some things to think about. And obviously, relationships impact us. I was about to say a few lives ago, but I don't actually remember how many lives it was, where I talked about the circle of influence and the 7 degrees of influence that we have. I went really in depth with it, but if you're not familiar with the degrees of influence, it's basically the people that you have around you or that you interact with on a consistent basis, right? Are people that are people that rub off on you over time, right? So going back to those situations where it's like chronic stress, um, if it's in the workplace, you can get what's it called? That could like prolonged cortisol and stress literally can rewire your nervous system. That's what I'm trying to get at. So if you're someone who is like a leader and a go-getter and works well with the team, and you encounter prolonged stress, then it's like that could change the way that you respond to people, or that can change the way that you see your self-image over time, right? And again, if you don't have an outlet, then that can make it worse. But another example is maybe if it's not in the workplace, like, oh, I have no problem with my work or my coworkers or my boss, no problem there, but it's in your home life. For example, like if you live with family, or if you live with a loved one, or if you're in a relationship with someone who's constantly complaining, constantly criticizing you, constantly bringing up things to stress out about, like, oh, this to-do list is so long, or oh, the politics and news, or the neighbors are doing this again, or just finding, whatever, like, they can complain about random things, like, oh, the mailman didn't put the package on the step, you know, like really insignificant things like that, and they make it a big deal, right? That level of criticism or judgment or just unkindness, let's just say they're a rude person, they're not kind, that can eventually rub off on you because you're constantly in that environment. And even if you do give pushback and the person still continues to do it, your self-image will go down, because I'm saying this is over time, right? This is not just snap of a finger and wow, this negativity impacts your body in this way. I'm not saying it like that, right? But if over a period of time, like prolonged periods of time, you stay in these environments, you stay in that toxic boss environment, you stay with that toxic family member or partner or whatever, you literally start to gain health issues. And then those things start to affect the way that you process and view yourself. And then that in turn is just a cycle, because now instead of feeling like, okay, I'm a confident person, I'm loved and appreciated by my boss, by my job, by my family, by my loved ones, by my dog, whatever, whatever you have around you, right? Then you start to go from that to, well, maybe they don't really value my opinion, or maybe their criticism has some validity, or maybe I'm not putting in enough effort, or maybe, and you just kind of get into a very dangerous slope that just goes downhill. And then not only do you need a personal trainer, but you need a life coach. And you're like, man, I don't want to work out, but I know I need to work out because I'm having these joint issues, or I have a pinched nerve, or I have, these kind of things mentally that are affecting my active lifestyle or my gym life, or they're affecting my goals that I want to meet in nutrition and dieting, things like that, and a lot of people, whenever something, let's just say, goes wrong, excuse me, it's a little burger, they immediately go to a doctor or a psychotherapist, right? And what a doctor's not going to tell you, especially, again, if you live in the West, right? What a doctor's not going to tell you is they're not going to put everything together, like full spectrum, like holistically, right? Because, like, I would be considered a holistic doctor or a holistic practitioner if I were to put everything together, right? Like on this business card. But I chose to go under a different thing because I want people to understand their auras and how their health, their thoughts, their emotions, their lifestyle, and the way that they view the world makes up their aura, right? And sometimes our thoughts are not our own. So I try to put things together in a more holistic way so that people can understand, like, if someone projects onto you, or someone criticized you at an early age, or someone made fun of something that you are passionate about, then it can impact you in the way that you think. So that's where the life coaching comes in, and I tell people, and the spiritual mentorship comes in, because you can train yourself to work out and lift weights and do cardio and jog or run or whatever, right? all the things that you need. They're necessary to have full range of mobility, stretching, warm ups, cool down exercises. It's all connected, right? But if you're not someone who knows how to process your emotions, but you just want to run on a treadmill, like you never really let them fully surface or let them fully be explored, then it's just something you're going to keep repressing until it turns into a sickness, like I said, you know? And I'm not knocking running at all, that was just an example, right? Um, but on the other hand, like a doctor may listen to your concerns, run some tests. If they're not, sure, then they can just come back and say, oh, take this medication, take this pill. Or they will refer you to someone else. Like, oh, you need physical therapy. Oh, you need a therapist. Oh, you need, to go see a lab and have them draw blood. Like, they're not going to sit there and address how your upbringing was. They're not going to address your work-life balance in depth, I'm saying. Because all they're going to say with that is, oh, you need to make sure you're taking breaks and drinking enough water and having vitamins. You know, um, for the most part. I'm not speaking from someone who's gone to like a super rich doctor. I'm just saying like the traditional healthcare system or like healthcare that you get from your job, for example, type of thing. Um, so yeah. Whatchamacallit? I was on a roll there for a second. And then the other thing with like therapists or psychotherapists is they're not going to address the physical parts of your emotions, right? And what I mean by that is they're not going to teach you body scanning or they're not going to teach you about somatic therapy or releasing things from your fascia, right? So if you haven't heard of body scanning, let's just break it down one by one, right? So body scanning is something that you could do guided or on your own, right? But it's basically closing your eyes and either, sitting, you know, hands uncrossed, legs uncrossed, posture straight, in a chair, or you can be laying down just like belly up, head up, palms down, right? But you need to be doing deep breathing as you're doing this, right? And having your eyes closed. And what you do is you do like maybe 5 to 10 deep breaths. Some people just do deep breathing for 2 minutes because that puts them into a trance state. But either way, like you need to be doing a lot of deep breathing throughout this whole body scanning, right? And you have your eyes closed and you're going from head to toe, either top to bottom or bottom to top, it doesn't matter. But scanning your own body from head to toe, isolating each parts of your body, and clenching and then unclenching it. And then seeing like, oh, did that feel like, there was something there? Did I feel tension? Did I feel uh, a jerk reaction? Did I feel hardness there? Like what, depending on the part of your body, you could store emotions there. So for example, I have heard that people who have a lot of stress or a lot of frustration, they hold it in their shoulders or in their stomach because emotions can be tied to specific parts of your body. Like with Eastern philosophies and Chinese medicine specifically, they would do things like foot massaging, and each part of the foot was directly linked to a part of the body or an organ of the body. So the liver was associated with anger. So if you have IBS, bloating, or problems digesting your food, it's oftentimes linked to shame, anger, or like suppressing yourself, suppressing your voice, suppressing your emotions, right? But also people, who have those issues can get sicknesses or feel like blocked in their throat. For example, if you have a really bad cough or something to do with bronchitis, like with your lungs, right? Or something like, um, like throat scratchiness, a raspy voice, and what is it, sore throat. I was trying to think of the other one. I'm like, it's something else with the throat, or a sore throat. Oftentimes that could be linked to you not speaking up, not expressing enough of yourself, right? Um, but like back to emotions with body scanning, right? You can also hold a lot of fear or sadness in your back or your hips, for example. And you could feel either pain, inflammation, or just physically weighed down, like someone who's hunched forward a lot, someone who doesn't, care about their posture, someone who's just like lounging and slouching, or someone who, wants to lay in bed all day or lay on the couch all day, things like that. Like they're not worried about their posture or their image. They can tend to have a lot of sadness or fear in their shoulders, or their spine or their hips, like I was saying. And then also another emotion that people can tend to trap in their bodies is um, kind of like pain or like unresolved trauma, and that can manifest in your feet, your hips, and what's it called, like your chest or your heart area. So you can have heart palpitations, you can be prone to strokes, um, you can have like feverish or rashes, or skin sensitivities. Like if just say you're around someone who's like very angry and upset, and they're just projecting that onto you, you can get a physical reaction on your skin. Like you could either get really cold or really hot, just some sort of like body temperature fluctuation, which goes back to the hormones, because if someone is stressing you out or making your hormones off balance, then that throws off your body's ability to maintain and regulate homeostasis. And homeostasis is the regulation of your blood pressure, your blood levels, your temperature, um, and the flow of electricity within your body. So, if you didn't know this, we are electromagnetic beings. So, there are water. Okay, obviously, there's water in your body, but the water sends the electric currents to the cells, organs, or bodily systems that tell the muscles to move, to contract, to expand, that send the brain waves to the skin layers to cool down their arms, or to let the heat rise to the surface, right? Or to just blink like with your eyes, stuff we do involuntarily, right? um, so this is why maintaining your aura, your emotions, your energy is all tied together. It's very important to how your body functions and properly produces whatever it needs to produce at that moment, right? So, excuse me, that's body scanning. So I highly encourage people to do this. It's a form of meditation and it's a form of self-care, because again, you're getting to know more of yourself. You're getting to know where you feel caught up, where you feel stuck, where you feel like things are tense or dense, right? So that's where body scanning comes in handy, right? The other thing that I was saying was, with body scanning or with what was it? I need a drink. Okay, so body scanning or body mapping, right? This helps you go to the next thing that I talked about, is being able to release from your fascia. So I just spoke about some people having the reaction of pinched nerves or pain in their, back, legs, hips, feet, whatever it is. Um, but certain parts of their body hold on to emotions, right? And when you constantly suppress that emotion, or you're unaware of it, or you don't let it rise to the surface, um, that's all the same wording basically at the end of the day. But if you keep repressing those emotions, they will embed and live in your skin or your fascia. And your fascia is what is surrounding your muscles. So if you have a pinched nerve, you have something that's stuck in your fascia. If you have a chronic illness, you have something that's stuck in your fascia. If you have a health condition that keeps coming back, like I said, with that bronchitis, with a sore throat, with lower back pain, inflamed liver, or pancreas that doesn't work, or fatty heart tissue, a weak heart muscle, things like that. It's something related to either you're not taking care of yourself physically with the proper exercising and stretching and going outside, or you have something that's stuck in your fascia that you're not fully processing. So that's where the stretching and myofascial release comes in. But there's so many different ways with stretching, so many different ways with myofascial release, with yoga, so many different ways to, or acupuncture even, helps you release that tension from your fascia and from all of your muscles, right? Again, Chinese medicine, amazing. Eastern philosophy, Eastern medicine, amazing. Um, so, yeah, shout out to the Asian communities and countries that have been knowing this for hundreds and thousands of years. Truly amazing. Um, but again, with meditation, you could slowly release those emotions also. So it's a mixture of both, but the physical fitness industry and the mental health industry need to come together at the end of the day for people to actually become balanced. And the spiritual mentorship or the spiritual or religious communities also need to be speaking up more about how people can release mental illnesses or physical diseases with these with these practices or rituals, if you will, that helps them protect their energy, protect their muscles, protect their minds, so that it's easier to get rid of sickness. It's easier to get rid of negative energy or negative thoughts or negative influences in their life, right? So that's why I want to put all of it together, right? With it's counseling services, right? But I'm someone who benefited from learning how to meditate. I'm someone who benefited from learning how to ground with Mother Nature on a consistent basis. I'm someone who benefited from learning about how the hormones and stress and functioning of the different parts of the body and of what I was intaking affects my organs, right? So, again, and meditation doesn't have to be some really big, um, drawn out process. Meditation can literally just be like, I'm gonna sit in my room with the lights off for 20 minutes, and I'm just going to sit in a corner and let my thoughts out. I'm going to sit in a corner and just do deep breathing. I'm going to sit in a corner and say affirmations to myself, or do self-soothing exercises, or say mantras over and over. It really doesn't matter. But whatever you're doing to intentionally release and be in the present moment is meditation. For me, I found that the body scanning, grounding in nature, and going for a walk at least once a day, but 1 to 2 times a day in nature, right? Not just walking on the sidewalk or around the house or anything. Like literally going to a park, going to a river, going to a stream, going to see where birds and trees and plants are, literally positively impacts your dopamine levels, positively impacts your decompression, and also allows you to focus on other things other than to-do lists or tasks or what other people are doing or what someone wants you to do or what a relationship wants from you. So finding things to do that centers you is a way to release your emotions and to be in the present moment and to meditate in your surroundings, right? Like, I'm sure we all remember playing I Spy as a kid, right? I Spy is basically focusing really intently on what's in front of you. Either it was I Spy with a book, or I Spy just, out in nature with a friend or a family member, right? But it's like, oh, I spy a green car, I spy a red book, I spy a purple food item, I spy a blue marker. Things like that really made your brain switch from, um, and again, I don't have my, my notes in front of me from class, but it's something about activating your parasympathetic system and not engaging in fight or flight mode automatically. Um, And the other part of meditation and releasing from your fascia is that you could have things surface from your childhood trauma, from grade school, from, you know, where's that fly saying? From grade school, from whatever. And you need to have ways to cope. You need to have ways to self soothe. You need to have ways to ground if you haven't been addressing those emotions regularly, if you haven't been someone, or if, let's just say, if you weren't taught to deal with your emotions, or you weren't taught to even hold space for all of your emotions, right? Because some people, their first reaction is anger because they saw that's what one of their parents did all the time. They're just angry, and no one else can be angry but that one parent. They could grow up to um, be the opposite of that and just not feel anger or not express anger because they don't think it's okay to as they get older, right? Or again, you can, okay, I learned this from my parent, I'm gonna do it, right? So they're like, oh, well, all my parents showed was joy and anger, and they cried maybe once or twice in my whole childhood. And then it's like, okay, wow, it's going to be a lot of pain, it's going to be a lot of hurt, a lot of sadness that needs to come to the surface. But again, those things, those repressed emotions or blocked emotions in your fascia manifest as literal sicknesses, manifest as illnesses, manifest as mobility decreasing, or a joint issue, or a mental block, an emotional block. There's so many ways that can go differently, right? So, but this is what I wrote today, also to kind of like speak on the journal and the notes taking. Let me, now that I have nobody in the room, let me look through this journal again. Because I was like asking, oh, do you guys have questions? Because someone else was in the room. But yeah, so I'm trying to share something that's not super personal. Okay. Okay. So I think I can share this one. Let me see. Okay, because I kind of told a story about the last time I went out of town, which is for a funeral in New York. So let me see. Okay, I felt very hurt by the lack of accountability, lack of faith in the Holy Spirit and Creator, and constant gaslighting emotionally. It reminded me of when I used to refer to my father as the emotional terrorist, and how much I said to my mother that I hated my father when I lived with them in Des Plaines, Illinois. I will move my stuff out of their storage in a few months and be done with feeling as if I need to dim myself down. I need to dim myself down. I am so much calmer and collected after moving away and opening up about my older sibling. Me, let's just say that. I went along with it after being, yeah. Hold on. Okay, I truly Okay. I will never wrap my head around family abuse or those that compact trauma onto others. I truly hope to walk away one day and never look back. I'm not numb or depressed anymore, just sick of feeling like I have to go into a shell or go in the closet. I'm the most self aware, talented, intelligent. Dot my eye. Funny. Intelligent and spiritually ranked in my entire family. That's like if it was a game, like, ranking up after you beat a boss, after you learn a lesson, you gain a rank, level 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. That's why I said, like, spiritually ranked. So, yeah. I'm letting more of brilliance trickle out with poetry and writing music, but it is time to stop gatekeeping and letting the past define me. I want to display my love for art and nature in a humanitarian way, truly. I don't even want to live in the US anymore. It's unruly. I took a break to cry 3 times while writing this. My grief will no longer hold me back, and I will no longer embody fear. I have already overcome so much addiction to be sitting here. And let's just take a pause from that, because I was writing that on the plane, and the people next to me were asleep, but I was literally like dabbing my tears with my shirt, and I was wearing a mask, so you will never catch me on a plane without a mask, like, ever. But it was just so kind of refreshing to be in a safe space, and like nobody's paying attention to you, so you can literally write, make a weird face, cry, be on your phone, whatever. Like, it was just such a safe space, and that's when I felt like the emotions coming up. Excuse me. And like over time, I've gotten to a point where if I feel an emotion and it comes up, I'm like, if it's safe to, come up, it's safe to feel. If it's coming to the surface, it's safe to feel. If I'm feeling triggered right now, that means I need to sit here with whatever's going on, right? And this used to be hard, but it got easier over time, like I'm saying, over a couple years, because I did almost like exposure therapy to people in public, but like I would cry in public, I would cry on the bus, on the train. Like I was saying, I'm sitting here crying on a plane and writing these things out, right? But I had to like reacquaint myself with sadness, with the pain that was underneath the anger and the hurt, with the shame, like letting shame be released, letting those projections other people put onto me be released, and not fully making an identity out of what was coming to the surface or what emotions were popping up at that time. So this was something that I chose to do over time, but also chose because I didn't want myself to become sick. I didn't want myself to just constantly be feeling like I'm missing something, or I'm not addressing something about myself or my past or how I really feel, behind what I'm saying. So, sorry, kind of just trying to uncross my legs and hit this tripod, and there was a fly just next to it. So yeah, it's kind of like, after some time you kind of have to put your hands up in the air and just say, like, I either name it to tame it, I have to feel it to get through it, or it's gonna just sit and linger. So yeah. But yeah, it was a lot of processing about just letting people be themselves, and not taking in what they were doing or what they were saying or how they were responding to me as a personal attack. That's what I'm working through right now. But it takes a community to fully rewire yourself. It takes being explorative to really be yourself. It takes years, like I said, decades, however long it takes you. Right? There's no timeline, but you need to be around a different environment and different people who respect you and who affirm you, however you feel. Not just if you feel happy, not just if you feel sad, not just if you feel like you agree with them, but however you feel. You need to find a community that lets you know it's safe to feel how you feel, right? And then, so going back to what I wrote, it's literally like I was just saying. So the lack of long-standing community didn't unravel me. The different school systems and social circles didn't hide me. And being born into a family system destined for failure and irregularity, aka sickness over time, didn't make me lose my joy. I'm so very thankful for all the spiritual intervention and all of my guides helping and pushing me through. I've seen through all of the illusions and am making peace with them, possibly never accepting or seeing my greatness or knowledge fully. Whew. I will not live a life that is full of regrets and sorrow. I will not keep in contact with those that disregard the authentic me. Why should I have to put up with so many boundaries and smooth my rough edges to become softer and more palatable? I no longer wish to play pretend or act/play a part. The people pleasing is gone. The masks are removed and the victim mentality has fallen. I need to write more consistently and go all in. I just took a bathroom break on the plane, and I'm honestly so proud of myself just now for how that trip went. I'm dedicated to my evolution and will not be buried in their beliefs. The whole world is kind and safe to me the majority of the time, but nothing beats the one-on-one interactions, especially with the soft souls and honest demeanors that I meet. I've overcome extremism and stopped dancing with insanity. Emotional balance has become easier over time. I cannot give in to intrusive thoughts or energetic attacks from gossiping, character assassination, slander, and revolving door relationships, giving the illusion of real connections. The more that I mature, the less I want to deal with confusing or trickster people/energies. That specifically goes for my spiritual practices as well, hence meditation. So, yeah, there's just a lot of letting things process, but, and then I ended it with, and so it is, one day at a time. I love and cherish myself now. So yeah, that was kind of more of what I was getting into, and then today, I wrote down some things after just this home environment and seeing some TikToks about like parental and family relationships, how much things do take a toll on people. So I wrote the shame and self-hate within them. Why is anyone entertaining a fucking nasty narcissist or misogynist or a person who hates them and their family? Why does someone's low self-esteem and mental challenges follow them? Why do people choose to give others the hatred and condemnation that they endured? If perfect love heals and covers all things, then why don't people apply that to relationships? That was like for the religious people. Why isn't the default love and kindness? Why don't people respect others' choices more? Why is the popular reaction criticism or jealousy? Such twisted and weird individuals looking for energy to feed on. Other people can exist and be weird. My truth and authentic self shouldn't bother, affect, nor trigger you. Do your own shadow work so when I shine, it doesn't trigger you. So, that was just me processing things, pen to paper. But that's also another way, like journaling and self-soothing techniques, like saying, to yourself how important authenticity is, saying how important you're doing, just reaffirming your progress, your actions, reaffirming the things that you're doing on your day-to-day. that you are enough, that your emotions are valid, that you do matter, that, you know, you being authentic and truthful, it shouldn't matter what someone else has to say about that at the end of the day. Um, and you know, the more you integrate, the more you move your body, the easier it is for things to come to the surface, the easier it is for you to feel your emotions and work through them quicker, right? Because the other thing is, when you don't process your emotions, or it takes a long time for them to digest, so to speak, right? You're going between living in the present moment to living in the past. So you want to be able to identify the emotion and release it. You don't want to identify the emotion and then be like, oh, that's that again, or that's that again, or they did that again. You want to make sure that you're processing it to then be able to name it quicker, to then be able to hold space and release it. And again, a doctor's not going to tell you that. A psychotherapist is not going to tell you that. They're going to say like, oh, well, you know, just try to move out, get a job, and then forget about them. Or why do you care about their opinion so much? It shouldn't bother you. Just forget about them. Don't listen to them. Or, you know, just focus on you, focus on your goals, focus on your school or your job or whatever makes you happy. And it's like you can't hobby yourself or isolate yourself out of trauma at the end of the day. Like you have to process it. You have to, again, release it from your fascia. You have to let it rise to the surface so it's not a repressed illness or something that you need to form an addiction to escape from it. So that's the thing that people leave out a lot. And I'm someone who has overcome people pleasing. I'm someone who has let shame, you know, peel off of them. Like if you were, you know, to like equate it to layers, like shedding a layer of skin or shedding a layer of yourself. It's like an onion. Like you peel back a layer, then you peel back another layer, you peel back another layer. Sometimes it makes you cry. Right. Like you peel back an onion and the layers make you cry. That's the same thing about yourself. It's the same thing about removing shame, removing guilt, removing anger, removing that pain. It's gonna make you cry. It's gonna make you frustrated. It's gonna make you want to take things slowly instead of being quick paced. Again, with that fight or flight reaction, with that hyper focusing on certain things. Like you want to slow down and release it so that you're not living life imbalanced, right? And the last thing I want to say before I check on that laundry and before I leave is that sometimes it's not about reacting to people. Sometimes it's literally having that awareness of yourself and then having that awareness of your surroundings and saying, and this is a quote from the Buddha that I learned when I started studying Buddhism for the first time last year, but it was observe, don't absorb. Again, observe, don't absorb. And when you meditate, that's exactly what you want to do. When an intrusive thought comes in, observe the thought and let it leave. When someone wants to try to say something belittling or say like something they project onto you, but it's really their trauma or what they're thinking about themselves, observe it and release it. You don't want to absorb it, because when you meditate or when you focus on what other people are saying to you or how other people are acting, you can become just like, what's the word? It's almost like you're leaving your own body. Like if you're constantly focused or absorbing what other people are doing, that means you're not putting your energy into yourself. Because someone can also be super self-aware and not be, again, with that dieting and exercising, they could be binge eating after they have a tough conversation, or they could starve themselves and be like, well, that person rubbed me the wrong way, so I'm not going to eat for the rest of the day, or 2 days, or 3 days, or whatever it is. And then they get into really unhealthy eating patterns of binge eating and starving themselves, again, eating disorders, behavioral disorders, or they can lash out on people close to them because they're not able to address that hurt or that frustration with that person directly, and they just keep absorbing it and then they give it to someone else. So when you absorb and not observe, you're giving your energy to someone else and not to yourself. So that is the other point of meditation and body scanning and processing your emotions, to be able to put more energy into yourself, to be able to focus more clear, more clear, or more clearly on what's important, to be able to function at a better quality, to be able to have your mind, body, and soul in alignment together. That's the whole point of me putting this spiritual mentorship on here, because that is just as important as life coaching, teaching someone how to meditate, teaching someone how to protect themselves mentally, teaching someone how to release negativity is a part of the spiritual, metaphysical things that happen around us. Like, it's negativity isn't something someone tangibly gives you, just like a projection isn't something that someone tangibly hits you with. It's something not physical that you still are aware of, something that you perceive, something that you can take on. And that spiritual mentorship is like, I could help people or teach or walk through a grounding meditation or a body scanning, or again, a way to protect their thoughts, a way to not absorb intrusive thoughts or negativity or those hyperfixations, right? So everything has a root cause and a solution, whether it's a physical sickness, a mental illness, or a spiritual illness. I can help. That is the gist of it. But I went in depth on relationships and awareness a little bit more today than my other lives, so I hope that you all enjoyed this chit chat. Again, I apologize for the background noise. I have no control over other people, and that's just fine by me, because I am in control of myself and I love myself. But yeah, it's been an hour and 2 minutes, so I will leave on that note. Thank you for all who stopped by and liked the live. I appreciate it. And I'll see you later.